The Marshal's star was the highest military honor the Soviet Union could give. It was meant for the men who commanded armies, who won battles. But some of the men who wore it never led a charge, never held a front, never fired a shot in anger. They earned their stars a different way, through fear, through politics, through power. These are the Marshals who never fought, and two of them would be destroyed by the very system they helped build. Joseph Stalin. He ruled the largest nation on earth, and in 1943, as the tide of the war turned in his favor, he gave himself the Marshal's star. Stalin had never commanded troops in the field. His weapons were the purge, the secret police, and absolute control. Yet he now stood in uniform as the supreme soldier of the Soviet state. 2 years later, victory won. Even that was not enough. A new rank was created for him alone, Generalissimus of the Soviet Union, the highest title the country would ever award. He held a rank above every marshal, and had earned it not on any battlefield, but in the corridors of power, where he had outlasted, outmaneuvered, and destroyed every rival. Lavrentiy Beria. Of all the men who ever wore the Marshal star, none was more feared than this one. Beria was the head of secret police, the master of the Gulag, the interrogations, the executions. His signature sent countless people to the camps and the graves. In 1945, he was made the Marshal of the Soviet Union, not for winning battles, but for running the machine of terror itself. He was for a time the second most powerful man in the country. Then Stalin died, and the man who had feared Beria for years moved first. He was arrested in a secret plot by the very leaders he sat beside, tried in secret, and shot before the year was out. The executioner of millions, executed at last. Nikolai Bulganin. He was a politician in a marshal's uniform. Bulganin was a party man, an administrator, a survivor of the Soviet inner circle. He held high posts overseeing the military, and in 1947 he was rewarded with the Marshal's rank, though his career was made in offices, not on battlefields. After Stalin's death, he rose even higher, becoming premier of the Soviet Union for a time. But he backed the wrong side in the power struggles that followed. When his faction lost, he was stripped of his Marshal's rank, demoted to a lesser title, and pushed quietly out of power. He kept his life, but the star was taken back. Leonid Brezhnev. Born in 1906, he led the Soviet Union for 18 years, and in 1976 he made himself a Marshal. Brezhnev had served as a political officer during the war, a real role, but never a battlefield command. As his rule went on, he developed a famous appetite for medals and honors, collecting decorations far beyond anything his service could justify. The Marshal's star was the ultimate prize. He awarded it to himself and was said to have wept with pride the day he first wore the uniform. To the Soviet people, quietly, it became a symbol of the vanity of an aging leader, a man decorating himself, while the country he led began to stagnate and decline. Dmitry Ustinov. He never commanded an army. He built the weapons that armed them. Ustinov rose through the Soviet arms industry, running the factories that produced the tanks, the guns, and the missiles of the superpower. He was the master of Soviet military production, a manager of steel and industry, not of soldiers. In 1976, he was made a Marshal of the Soviet Union, and soon after, Minister of Defense, one of the most powerful men in the country. He commanded the entire Soviet military not from a battlefield, but from a desk. Proof that in the later Soviet Union, industrial and political power could carry a man to the very top of the army. 5 marshals. Not one of them made his name leading troops in battle. Stalin, who ruled through terror. Beria, who ran it. Bulganin, the politician. Brezhnev, who crowned himself. Ustinov, who built the weapons. They show a different truth about the Marshal Star. It was not only a soldier's honor, it was a mirror of power, and in the Soviet Union, power did not always belong to the men who fought. 2 of them, Beria and Bulganin, would be destroyed or disgraced by the same system that raised them. Proof that even at the summit, no star was ever truly safe. And around these men stood the others, the real soldiers, the commanders who did lead the armies, who did win the battles, who did bleed for the star. Their story are still to come.